As Sam finally appeared out of the darkness, I gasped, not at seeing him at last, but when I saw his eyes. They were swirling with red and green flames, along with the whites of his eyes, while his emerald irises glowed in the shadows of the cave. Just from seeing him, I could tell he had changed and had become much more powerful. Sam? Sam grinned at me, stepping up in front of me and placing a hand on my head. He did it! He got the powers!
Sup, you doofus?
Stop! I bit my lip and shook my head, pounding a fist into his chest before hugging him to me tightly.
Whoa. Hey, it's all right. I'm right here.
Thank God you are.
May your battle be won, Lord of Dragons.
Hell yeah, Lord of Dragons! I am going to marry the Lord of Dragons.
War deep within. I can't go through it alone, and I won't leave you on your own. I stand before you now and promise you I am not afraid. I will fight and guide the way. We will rise again to glory then, soar into the sky. If you stop and see, then you just might believe.
What's up guys, the name's Ryan Dragneel and welcome back to Seduce Me 2, the Demon War. So last we left off, something unexpected happened in our morning and it was hurting my chest so much. But at least we got some sexy time with Sam, and even better yet, in his demon form. That's truly something to remember. So anyways, let us continue. So we wake up and we thought Diana was going to be disguised as Sam. So let's see what happens. However, as I woke, I was happily in the arms of the man I loved. Despite the tired fog over my vision, I could sense that the man who was holding me was the true Sam. The way he held me gave it all away. As he pulled my body close to him, I giggled, knowing Sam was awake. I know you're awake.
No, you don't, you doofus.
Oh my god, that was adorable, okay? That was really, really adorable. You keep being you, Sam. Just keep being you. I laughed and kissed his nose softly, causing Sam to open his eyes. As he gazed into my eyes and smiled, I felt my heart completely swell in joy. I had almost forgotten about the day ahead. All I wanted to do was stay in bed with him a little longer.
Morning.
Morning. Sam lazily leaned forward and kissed me before pulling me to his chest and sitting us both up.
Come on. Time to get up.
Since when were you a morning person now? Okay, this is kind of concerning me, like with Matthew. He definitely wasn't a morning person, and then Matthew just suddenly got like, good morning, I made breakfast. Okay, I'm going off to training, have fun, bye. That's how Matthew was, and we were like, okay, that's not Matthew. Please, Sam, don't be like Matthew. Please. Please. Do we have to? As I asked, I could sense a new determination from Sam. Ooh, determination! Something about him seemed so confident despite having just woken up. I tilted my head and placed my hands on his shoulders, curious as to why that was. Hey, what's got you so energized? Sam turned his head and looked in my direction, giving me a surprised look himself.
Huh? What do you mean? I'm always energized.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You are not a morning person. You would always drag me back to bed. This is not you, man. Where's the you that could drag me back into bed? Okay, you know what? Never mind.
Well, that's good to hear.
Hi. Hello. Sam and I looked over at the door suddenly to see Diana leaning against the archway, holding 2 plates of food. I was surprised she was able to carry them. Both plates were piled with food that looked absolutely delicious. Sam and I practically salivated at the sight before Sam shook his head and glared at Diana.
You ever learn how to knock?
Wow. Wow. That's kind of rude, but okay.
Well, we have a lot to do, so I figured knocking would only waste precious time. My apologies.
Whatever. Diana walked over at last and handed us our plates before stepping back and crossing her arms. Sam began to chow down as I took a slower approach to eating what I was given with a laugh.
So, are you prepared for your test, dear?
That made me stop and look up at Diana. She knew that I was next. She already devoted herself to the dragon before, so it wasn't surprising, but maybe she knew what exactly was in store for me. I couldn't be sure. Do you know what my test is? Diana nodded as Sam looked up to see her answer. I gulped, now a bit worried. Can you tell me?
Unfortunately, no, I cannot. If I could, I would, dear.
I grimaced, looking to the fireplace and knowing that the dragon was probably watching. I half expected him to answer for Diana, but he didn't speak. My mind began to fill with ideas of what it could be about. What was I going to be tested on? How was it going to go down? Would I have to fight? All of the possibilities lingered in my thoughts as Sam finished his food.
Hey,
I looked at Sam, feeling him rub my back gently with his strong hand. I felt some comfort in the gesture and more from the smile on his face.
you'll be fine. I believe in you.
Thank you, Sam. Wow, it says on the bottom, thanks, Sam, but kissing him is better. Way better. Kiss him is way better. I was happy to know that Sam believed in me and supported me. I gave him a loving peck on his lips, causing him to stare wide-eyed with a blush. I had to giggle at the sight while Diana rolled her eyes and let out a groan. If you don't like it, get out, Diana. You can go be with your guard and be lovey-dovey with him. And then I'll come in and be like, ew, they're being lovey-dovey. And then just walk out. I would be like, payback. Diana, however, looked to the fireplace.
I will say this, though. It should be easy for you.
Huh? It should be easy? Diana nodded before turning around and looking over her shoulder to maintain eye contact with me.
Yes, that is, if you believe in your love.
I stared wide-eyed at Diana before she turned and walked away, leaving me and Sam alone. I grew curious and concerned, but I had to let it go for now. The test was apparently tonight, so I had to wait. I expected today's training to be full of fighting and brawling, just like the last time. However, as I left the castle, wow, nice wording. The castle, I spotted Sergeant sitting on the ground, looking down at a bowl that had multiple lit sticks of incense burning in it. The colors seemed to mesh into the smoke that rose from their lit ends, blending to a dull gray color before fading into the air. It was almost mystical to watch. As I walked towards Sergeant, I noticed that he seemed entranced by the lit incense bowl, focused on the smoke emitting from it. What had him entranced? Not wishing to disturb him, I stopped on the other side of the bowl, sitting down very slowly and looking into the bowl as well. The incense sticks had different scents that occasionally clashed or blended together in harmony. I could barely make out each earthy tone and every spice the smells emitted. Just letting the scents filter into my nose made me slightly dizzy. What was this?
Men's itinerary.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Could you explain? Uh-huh?
It's a test. Every brute demon goes through it when they are ready to be an adult. Mostly, female brutes do it before they become hunters, and males do it before they become guardians.
Oh. That seems cool. I looked to Sergeant as he finally turned his eyes up to look back at me. He had a stern look in his eyes, which made me nervous. What did this test have in store?
Only those who can master their rage will live through this test.
Live through the test? That's a strong thing to say. There was the rub. I became a little panicked. It had only been 2 days of training. How was I going to able to pass this? How was I going to be able to pass this test, whatever it was, and live? As Sergeant saw the fear obviously stretch across my expression, he glared harder.
Are you doubting yourself already?
No. It's only... I don't know. No, I really wasn't sure what to think. Did Sergeant really think I was ready to do this test? Whatever it was, I barely got the hang of rage energy. Sergeant shook his head and let out a sigh.
If you're not sure, then don't bother. Just leave. I'm not going to waste my time.
No, I want to try it. His words stung, but I knew that he was serious. This was my chance to show him and myself that I was strong enough to protect myself, at least for this war. I just needed to swallow my fear and do as he said. But what if I wasn't ready? What if this test proved to be fatal? What if I died without having a chance to survive? I didn't know what I was walking into. Do it. Do it. We're not going to give up. I had to try. I had to. If this was going to help me, then I had to do my best. I looked to Sergeant once more and shook off the fear from my expression, showing him that I was ready. Sergeant grinned a bit before gathering some dirt in his hand and tossing it over the bowl in incense. As the dirt collided into the bowl, a red flash sparked and burst from it, causing me to shut my eyes to block the visual impact. After a second, I opened my eyes again to see what had happened. A large red flame sat in the mouth of the bowl, dissolving the incense into it and leaving nothing but the licking tongues of the fire. It seemed to burn immensely, not showing any sign of dying.
Reach into the flame and touch the bottom of the bowl with 2 fingers.
Say what? I took a moment to absorb what he said. My thoughts instantly wanted to say no, but something told me it was something I could do without getting hurt. With a breath, I slowly lifted my hand and stretched it towards the fire, feeling the heat grow against my skin as the distance shortened. My fingertips barely caressed the flame before I almost violently pushed my hand forward. To my surprise, I felt no pain from the action, watching the fire dance around my skin, but only feeling its warmth. I let out a soft, shaky sigh before continuing forward and touching the bottom of the bowl with my fingertips. I could barely feel an ooze-like texture around my nails and fingertips, but I kept focused on following Sergeant's instructions.
You're not going to go through the full test. As a human, you wouldn't survive. You'll be getting a small taste of it, enough to show me that you're strong enough to defend yourself.
Okay, at least I'm not doing the whole thing. I nodded in understanding. Sergeant continued.
What you're about to taste is fucking disgusting, but you will not spit any of it out. Understand?
I will try, because once the food that tastes disgusting, it goes into my mouth, I'm going to be like, oh god, this is disgusting. But sometimes I actually swallow my pride and just eat it, because sometimes I'm like, eat the food! And I was just like, okay, so I have to eat it anyway. I nodded again.
Good. Now take your hand out of the flame.
I obeyed and watched my hand emerge from the flame with ease. Covering my fingertips was a blood-colored liquid, slowly dribbling down my fingers and onto my palms and knuckles. I stared at it, trying not to let my mind overthink what I was about to do.
When you're ready, put your fingers in your mouth and swallow that mixture.
My mind began to fight. What was I doing? This was getting really odd. However, as my thoughts tried to assemble reasons why this was wrong, my senses became overwhelmed. What? The air around me tightened and suddenly the ground began to shift and rumble, almost like I was sitting on a waterbed. I felt my nerves dancing and wriggling beneath my skin, making me slightly nauseous. Was the smell getting to me? The only description I could coherently think of was that I felt like I was getting high. Crap. Please don't get high. Please don't get high, please. Oh, jeez. My mind was slowly numbing and my body was rocking at the sensations coursing through it. I had to hurry. I instantly put my fingers in my mouth and quickly began to clean the concoction off of my fingers with my tongue. Sergeant was right. The taste was absolutely vomit worthy. Okay, that means I would have just spit it out right then and there. It was a mixture of ash and burnt mold. If I can imagine actually trying it, the taste was like eating a wad of aged cigarettes. However, I shut my eyes and barreled through the taste, making sure to swallow it down. I could feel the effects of the concoction fuse and spread through my mouth and throat, sipping through my nerves and body. It was like eating fire. As I opened my eyes, however, I was no longer in the training grounds, but in a purple forest. I looked around, confused and lost as to what was going on as the trees swayed and shifted like apparitions. What was happening to me? I slowly stood and looked around, trying to take everything in. This was completely new, and I found myself becoming frightened. Where was I? My body suddenly began to shiver at the sound of the familiar voice. I turned my head to look and froze at the sight of who was in the space with me. Ah, no. Actually, you know what? I don't care anymore. I just want to punch him in the face. I really do. Jeez. Standing before me was the Demon Lord, mighty and terrifying as I imagined him to be up close. His face was dark and menacing as he gazed into my soul. His teeth were even more horrifying as he bared them at me animalistically. However, I could hear Sergeant's voice echo in the space.
Your test stands before you, human. The one standing in the way from you going home is the fuckface known as the Demon Lord.
Thank you for giving me info on that. At the mere mention of his name, I became curious. This was the monster that was keeping me from going home. This was the bastard who wanted to hurt me and bring the boys back here, most likely to punish them or force them to take the throne.
Now, beat him down!
Yes, I felt instant fury ignite within my core, making waves of rage and anger run through each vein in my body. My muscles tensed and my fists were ready to fly at my opponent. The time had come to prove myself. The Demon Lord came swinging, arcing a large blade in my direction. I swiftly dodged and quickly began to assess the situation. He was armed and he was muscular as Sergeant, if not more. Another swing, another dodge. However, in this realm, I could barely make out the black aura around the Demon Lord's body. Most likely, the test was crafted not to allow me to see the weakness and energy in my opponent. Smart. I had to adjust and use my visible sight. There had to be something. His weapon was exceedingly perfect and his grip seemed to be protected as well. I jumped away as the Demon Lord lunged at me, swinging his blade at me to slice me in half. He had a weapon, I did not. He was built. I was not. How was I going to do this? The situation slowly began to dawn on me, causing the fury in my body to lightly shudder in weakness. No, girl, no! Was I even ready to do this? My mind began to flicker through the images of my family, my friends, my fiancé. I was fighting for them. I was fighting for me, my freedom, my own need for revenge. I had to knock away any doubt in my mind and remind myself why I was there. It was all because of him. I quickly ran at the Demon Lord, my vision becoming as red as blood. As the Demon Lord prepared a stance, I raised my leg and knocked it against his elbow, bending it in the opposite direction and forcing him to drop his weapon. With a hateful snarl, the Demon Lord raised a fist of his own and rammed it into my cheek, causing me to fly back and skid across the ground. Despite the pain, I quickly scrambled back onto my feet, eyeing him with a deadly glare. I had to win this. I felt my hand pulse, tensing and becoming solid as rock at my side. Blood dripped from the side of my mouth, but I didn't care. I was going to end this. With a final battle cry, I rushed forward and raised my fist behind me, ready to slam it into the Demon Lord's face. My fist was met with his, causing us both to deadlock fist to fist. Fire and electricity bound between our hands as we pushed against each other. I snarled and let my rage fuel into each finger, forcing his fist back. I didn't want to lose. I wasn't going to lose. I was going to beat him down and win this fight. The Demon Lord's fist tried to push back, but failed as I pressed forward, knocking his fist away from us and leaving him open. At last, I let out an angry yell as I brought my arm back and slammed it into his face. Hard. Yes. I stared at as his face seemed to mold over my fist at the impact before he rebounded off of it and fell to the floor. This illusion was much weaker than the real Demon Lord, but I didn't give a damn. This thing was going to feel the anger I had stored in my body. I jumped onto his chest, pinning his arms to his sides with my knees, and began to pummel his face with my fists over and over. Soon enough, his face became unrecognizable and covered in blood. Yes. Oh, okay. As it occurred, however, I rarely noticed the world around me slowly change back to normal. It was only until the body below me turned into a training dummy that I had to let it sink in hard. What? The rage within my body became quickly extinguished as I stared at the broken straw and cloth beneath my body. Small scratches decorated my fists from the friction of the dummy, and I became lost as ever. I was fighting the Demon Lord. How did I become a dummy? At the sound of a slow applause, I turned my head to see Sergeant with a smirk on his face, clapping at an apparent job well done.
I gotta admit, I'm impressed. You're probably the first human to pass that test.
Woohoo! It took a moment to sink in. I was in the midst of a test that I had passed? Just like that? I became extremely proud of myself, feeling utter joy rush through my body and causing me to jump up. Yeah! All right! Sergeant laughed as I pumped my fists in the air in pride.
Don't overwork yourself, or...
I barely heard him finish his sentence as I suddenly became dizzy and collapsed to the ground, immediately worn out.
What the hell did you do?
Oh. Hi again. Nothing in particular. We just trained as usual. Yeah, okay.
I was training her.
Yeah, what Sergeant said.
And that requires a means ingenere?
Please don't yell at Sergeant. I love this.
Are you judging my training methods?
I'm judging your common sense.
Oh. I could barely understand what was going on around me before I opened my eyes. Despite my vision being blurred, I could see Diana above me, feeling her knees beneath my head, and Sergeant on the other side, arms crossed. Diana's hand was petting through my hair, where I felt waves of light energy pass over my head and into the rest of my body. It felt calming and comforting after using so much rage energy that I had to hold back a moan from escaping me. Really, girl? Really? As my vision began to clear up, I could see Diana and Sergeant scowling at each other.
She is a human. That kind of mental exertion could have killed her.
She lived.
Barely.
I could barely open my mouth before Diana gently lowered my head to the ground and stood up, walking around my body and marching at Sergeant.
That was an unforgivably reckless choice. How am I supposed to trust you with an army if I can't trust you to take care of one human?
Watch it, Succubus. I trained our men well.
It doesn't mean anything if you don't have the sense to see the error of this choice.
Oh shit. Suddenly, Sergeant swung a fist towards Diana, only to be blocked by her forearm with insane reaction speed. Barely a second that passed as a dark purple flame engulfed Diana's free hand while it rammed into Sergeant's stomach. Oh shit! Before my eyes, Sergeant was sent flying back and slammed into a tree, falling at its base. Diana, however, became engulfed with black and purple flame as the scowl on her face contorted to one I recognized from the human world.
How dare you attack me? I am the one who honored your people, and you have the gall to turn and strike at me. Where does your loyalty lie?
What the hell? What was happening?
You truly thought you could hurt me. I've been fighting the Demon Lord himself for over 10 years. You're nothing compared to him.
Oh shit. Sergeant looked up at Diana with the pained glare of his own as Diana turned and took a single step away from him.
I will overlook that act of treason this once, but know your place, brute.
As Diana's face turned away from Sergeant, I could see a look of change in Diana's eyes, going from pure arrogance to sudden realization and regret. However, she shut her eyes and let out a silent sigh as she took another step away from us. With that, Diana walked away, her flame-like aura completely gone from her body. Sergeant, however, didn't move and simply watched until she entered the castle and vanished from sight. As she did, Sergeant let out a sigh. I slowly sat up, taking in what had happened. What was wrong with Diana? Why was she acting like that? Why was Sergeant so on the offensive? I looked over at my trainer to see him slowly stand. As I did, I noticed a very heavily burnt mark where Diana had punched him. Ooh, I hope that didn't hurt. Are you okay?
I'll be fine.
I hope so. I could tell that Diana had gotten under his skin. I was concerned as to why Diana acted the way she did, but as Sergeant stood and shook his head, he looked to me.
You alright?
I nodded, feeling much better than I had before. Diana's magic must have healed me from whatever the test's effects were. I quickly stood up and grinned. So, what now? Sergeant took a moment to look at me, but I knew that I had to take his mind off of Diana to get back into properly training. I wasn't mad at him about the test. It gave me a good punching bag. Yeah, I'm not upset at all. Sergeant, you're really cool. I think we're going to be great friends, to be honest. He then let out a small laugh and uncrossed his arms.
You should have been born a demon. You've got the will to be one.
Why, thank you. I feel truly honored, to be honest. Yeah. I couldn't help but feel flattered at the compliment. As I smiled, Sergeant walked over to the dummy I was beating on earlier and set it up.
You proved yourself by passing the test. Now, we'll take the time to master what skills you have.
I walked over and stood in front of the dummy, ready for his instruction. I was able to defend myself and fight. That was the goal of this entire process. I spent the rest of the day sparring the dummy. Then Thulier, and even Sergeant himself, to sharpen my skills and make them better. I was completely exhausted by the time I was sent back to my room. As I marched back to my room, I was stopped by Sam. I stared at him as he leaned against the door to our room, as if he had been waiting for me for a while. Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Hey. I knew that this could only mean one thing. My test was waiting for me. I pressed my lips together, nervous, knowing that I had to go through it regardless of how I felt. Diana's words began to flood back into my mind as I took Sam's hand and gave it a squeeze. Sam squeezed my hand back, nodding and led me away from our bedroom towards the war room, where Diana was waiting for us. As Diana locked her sights on us, she let out a sigh and gestured to the table, where a large conglomerate of items were placed and presented. Sam halted his stop, staring at the table in absolute shock. I, however, merely grew confused. On the table was an assortment of single flowers, each of a different color and type. They were formed in a magic circle pattern, but there was no magic to be seen.
When did you...
Hush, this is for her.
Sam instantly shut his mouth as I looked to Sam in confusion. He knew what this was? I turned to Diana, completely lost.
Dear, do you know what I've prepared here?
I stared at the table, unsure how to discern it. A couple of ideas came to mind, but I didn't want to be wrong if this was part of the test. Sam knew what it was, too, given the strong reaction from him. Could it have been... Don't even answer. Well, if the answer's right there. A demon marriage ritual? That was it. It had to have been it. Why else would Sam react so strangely? It had been on his mind, and now it was staring me dead in the face. Diana nodded, gesturing to the flowers.
This is a marriage ritual. Freshly blossomed flowers, holding peak-worthy magical essence, arranged in a magic circle, are part of what a binding ritual needs to happen.
Part? Diana nodded and looked to the table.
The other part is a precious item forged between two souls to bind them together.
I couldn't believe it. This was my test? There was no way I was ready for this. But here I was, staring at a setup that just screamed, go through with it. Part of me was angry and aggravated. I had to go through this for... What? I had to go through this for some stupid dragon's power? This was something Sam and I were supposed to discuss together. Now it felt like an arranged agreement. What was I going to do? The test was obviously going to make me go through with this for the sake of Sam, but I still wasn't ready. I am, though. Soul binding seemed very heavy, and as much as I loved Sam, I needed to be 100% clear. Sam stepped forward and glared at Diana.
We're not doing this.
Huh?
Pardon?
You heard me. We're not going through with this.
I stared at Sam wide-eyed. What? He didn't want to go through with it anymore? What was going on? I remembered clearly that he wanted to do it. Now he was against it? Sam looked at me and I could suddenly see the reason why buried in his eyes. He still wanted to, but not like this. I could tell he was throwing away something he desperately wanted for my own sake. Sam. Sam turned and grasped my shoulders, staring into my eyes.
I know that I want to do this. I want to do this more than anything. But you are more important to me than some dumb ritual. I will never let you force yourself to make this decision if you're nowhere near ready.
Aw, Sam. That touched my heart. Oh my god. Sam, oh my god. See, this is why I love you. This is why I love you. This is why you're bumped up next to Eric. I felt like crying. This was exactly why I loved him. This was one of a million reasons why Sam was so important to me. My heart felt at ease, looking into his eyes and letting rogue tears roll down my cheeks. It may have seemed like a simple thing, but to me, this was important. I gently caressed Sam's cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath my hand, and thanking every deity I knew that I had him beside me as mine. However, as Diana cleared his throat, we both turned to her in reaction. What really threw us off was seeing her cover her mouth, hiding some sort of smirk that was peeking out between her fingers.
Who said anything about you going through with it?
What? Sam and I became dumbfounded. What? We didn't have to go through with it? Then why was it set up?
For fuck's sake, if you're messing with us...
Diana began to laugh hysterically, causing Sam to stop talking and become dumbfounded once again. What the hell was going on?
I knew it! I knew it!
Oh my god. No. Don't do this to me. What is going on? Tell me.
What the fuck, Diana?
Yeah, what Sam said. What the fuck? I was beyond lost as Diana continued to laugh. She curled over her stomach and covered her face, trying to catch her breath.
This was perfect! This was absolutely perfect!
Diana! Now I became frustrated. What was so funny about this? Diana finally stopped laughing, wiping her eyes from the tears that had formed from laughing so hard, and grinned at me and Sam.
I didn't set this up to make you two do it. That would ruin the point of the test.
What? Then what is the test? I became flustered, not mentally scrambling as to what was I going on? Okay. I can't read, man. As my body suddenly began to sink into the ground, however, I gasped and looked down, seeing a large purple pentagram pulling me and Sam into the floor.
Whoa!
Ah!
Demon marriage lets you know where your soul partner is at all times. The test is that you find your husband without it.
Oh. I couldn't even fight back as I was engulfed by darkness at last. I couldn't tell how long I was trapped in that darkness. All I knew was that I was going to wake up and find Sam. As I opened my eyes, I had to adjust to the bright light around me and the sound of nature in my ears. Yay! Forest! I rubbed my eyes and found myself in a forest, lying underneath a large tree with bird marks across its bark. I could tell that this would be my starting place and my marker if I got lost. So while I felt terrible for the tree, I was thankful to have something to visually reference. As much as I don't like bugs, I kind of wish I lived near a forest or something. I could always go on walks and just smell the fresh air of nature. But mostly I'd love to go in the mountains. That would be really, really cool. In my personal opinion. To me, city life is just... I of course I need the technology and stuff, and I'm going into technology and all of this, but I find myself comfort in peace and air and nature and all that. So yeah. So, this was my test. I had to find the man I loved without anything but my heart and my instincts. This was cheesy as hell, expecting someone to find someone else using the power of love. It does sound cheesy, actually. I loved Sam deeply, but I didn't know if it would be strong enough to guide me through a terrain I was unaware of to Sam, who could have also been wandering around, looking for me. There were so many variables to consider. Still, this was a test for a reason. I had to figure this out. I cupped my hands together and shouted, knowing his name would be a way to bring him to me. Oh, Maurice! The nearby birds around me fluttered wildly into the air, in surprise of my shout, but Sam didn't appear. What the hell? This was supposed to have worked. Something must have had him under holy magic or something to negate this demon summoning. Another part of the test. Guess I wasn't allowed to cheat. It was worth a try. Calm down first. I had to be methodical about this. There was no use in panicking over the situation. The forest couldn't be that big. Could it? I shook my head. Nope. I had to find him if it was the last thing I do. It was the only way to get the dragon's power, as difficult and unnecessary as it was. I took in a deep breath and looked around, trying to decide where to start. I started heading to the left of the tree's bird marks. It was better than no direction at all, and it was a start. Each step I took became one filled with haste. I wanted to find Sam soon, and I didn't want to laze about this. It felt like hours went by until I stopped and looked around, exhausted from walking so far at such a fast pace. I leaned against a nearby tree, catching my breath. How the hell am I going to find him? You know, I was kind of expecting Michaela to put like choices, like make it even harder, like put different choices of where to go and where to find him, and then we can and then it gets to this point where we just kind of starting to slowly give up or something, and then yeah, I'll explain more as I proceed forward. Something in my heart began to feel heavy. What if I wasn't able to find him? What if this was an impossible quest? I felt my body slide down the side of the tree, making me sit down at the base in fear. This couldn't be. Sadness and ache began to consume my thoughts. There was no way to track him, no way to find him at all in this place. I'd be searching forever, only hoping that I would find him and pray that he was alive when I did. My hands combed through my hair as I fought back tears. Please let me wake up if this was a dream. Please let me see him again.
Giving up so soon, my dear?
Hi, Diana. At Diana's voice, I suddenly gasped and looked up, only to find no one around. I quickly stood and scanned the area, but, alas, there were only trees around. Diana, I don't know what to do. How can I find him?
You have all of the means to find him. You're just not thinking it through.
I looked into the air, confused as ever. What does she mean? I didn't have anything but the clothes I was wearing. Diana chuckled slightly.
Think. Besides his heart, what else did he give you as a token of his love?
As she said it, the answer came into my mind, replaying the night Sam proposed to me in the night sky. That was so beautiful. I can't ever forget that. I really can't. It's so beautiful. That legit made me cry tears of joy. Because that was so adorable. That was really, really adorable. Okay. I looked at my hand, seeing the engagement ring Sam had given me resting on my finger, glistening in the light.
There we are. The other part of the marriage ritual.
Second part? This was...
Indeed. It seems he intended to ask you to be his in body, heart, and spirit.
My heart gave a hard and heated thump against my chest, agreeing with Diana's words. He had been prepared all along to ask me to be his, wanted to at least give me what I wanted first before asking for what he wanted. I smiled, staring at the sparkling emeralds and diamonds on my ring, and finally feeling the magic pulse within it. Still, I was lost on how to use it. How will this help me? Diana chuckled once more, her voice quieter than before.
I can't give you all of the answers, dear, but at least you won't be lost anymore.
Her voice finally vanished into the air, leaving me alone once more. However, my focus was on my ring. I remembered clearly that this wasn't an ordinary ring, but one magically forged the night Sam proposed. Okay, so wait, I wanted to explain. I was kind of expecting Michaela to put choices, like when we're doing our tests and stuff, I was kind of expecting her to put like choices to go which way to go, and if it was right or wrong. If it was wrong, something bad could happen to us and we'd die, never finding Sam ever. That's what I kind of expected. And then if we went the right way, this would happen. Diana would help us and we'd find him. I kind of wanted to be challenged more with the choices, to be honest. I wanted to be, for our test, I wanted us to be challenged. It's kind of bad for me to say, but I kind of wanted something like a bad end to happen if I went the wrong way. Like we went the wrong way and we ended up going somewhere we weren't supposed to, and we ended up dying or something, and we never found Sam. And then the test was like, yeah, I have no idea where I'm going with this. Yeah, just saying, if there should have been more choices, I would have accepted the challenge. I would have accepted the bad ending, I guess. And yeah. So yeah. Anyways. Sam, I'm going to find you. I nodded and felt a wave of hope and courage rush through my body. I was ready now. I focused on the ring, trying to will it to give me a sign, a hint, anything to help me find Sam. As I stared into it, a word popped into my mouth, letting it loose. I could feel magic pulsing through the air from around my body. Amor. My hand suddenly became wrapped in green chain-shaped markings sprouting from the base of my ring, before jetting off of my skin and flying forward through the air and deeper into the forest. I felt myself grinning from ear to ear. I was going to find him. I quickly burst into a sprint, following the ethereal chain that was leading me towards Sam, uncaring of the harsh breaths that I was taking or the pain that shot through my legs. I needed to keep going forward. All that mattered was that I had to keep moving forward. The chain twisted and turned around the trees, and often arched around obstacles for me, guiding me perfectly towards a thicker brush of woods. The amount of bushes and smaller trees began to grow the farther in I went, but I continued. Soon enough, I found myself walking towards the descending mouth of a cave, where a familiar brown-haired demon boy laid face down at its edge. Sam! I ran forward and slid onto my knees, lifting his head into my lap. Around his neck was a golden collar, which, upon my touch, vanished and caused Sam to stir from his comatose state.
What?
Hi! My heart began to swell as I stared down at him, tears welling up in my eyes. This was really him. He was safe here in my arms, and I had found him. His emerald gaze bore into mine, still dazed from the sleep he was in. As he stared up at me, Sam lifted his hand and caressed my cheek, causing me to unconsciously nuzzle into it.
There you are.
Hi. I'm gonna do it. Boy? No. Hold on, wait. You need to take deep breaths. I can do this. I can do exactly what Sam did in the first game. Whew. Boy, you are going to let me kiss you. I couldn't help but repeat the first words he had ever said to me. They had engraved themselves into my mind, and I was forever thankful for that day. Yeah, he's like, woman, you're going to let me kiss you. And I was like, oh, okay. Even though the first time he did that, though, I was just like, bitch, back the fuck up. No, please. No, get away from me. But Sam grew into my heart. I don't care anymore. I accept it. I love him. Sam's lips curved into a smug smile, remembering the phrase perfectly.
Then hurry up and do it.
Haha. I grinned and bent down, capturing his lips with my own. My entire body felt complete as our lips touched. I didn't care if he took energy from me in it. I had found him.
Well done.
Hi. To our surprise, the voice didn't ring in our heads. The voice of the dragon echoed from the cave, causing me and Sam to separate and stare into the void.
You have proven to me the strength of your heart. Now, for the final test, Sam must prove his.
Yay! I instinctively gripped Sam tighter. We weren't going to be separated again, were we? Sam, however, slowly stood up, guiding me with him, and glared into the darkness.
Hit me with your best shot. I'm ready.
Oh yeah! A dark, echoing chuckle reverberated from the cave, causing a sliver of fear to rush down my body. I was beyond nervous, but we had come this far. We were going to win his powers.
Step into the cave and and face me. I will judge you.
Huh? The memories of my nightmare began to fill my head. What if it was a trick? What if the dragon killed Sam while he was in there? Despite my frightening thoughts, Sam stepped towards the cave, nodding.
You got it.
Every voice and nerve in my head screamed for me to stop him. I didn't want him to die. At the same time, this was a test. He had to do it. I was placing my heart on the table and hoping it wouldn't be ripped apart with a single blast. Oh, let's see. Okay, we can stop Sam from doing his test, or we could just let him do it. I kind of have good feelings about this, honestly. Sam can take care of himself. Let him do the test. I had to trust him. He could do this. I watched as Sam walked into the cave, falling behind until he vanished into the darkness. I stood once again between the light and the dark, waiting. Moments of silence ran by, filling my body with anxiousness. Was he safe? Was he okay? At the sudden shout of a dragon's roar, I jumped and gripped the cave wall, frightened to the core. It echoed into silence out of the mouth of the cave, but I became worried. What happened? What was going on? The faint echo of footsteps began to make their way towards me, despite me not being able to see into the dark. I hoped it was Sam. I prayed it was Sam unscathed. Sam! As Sam finally appeared out of the darkness, I gasped, not at seeing him at last, but when I saw his eyes. They were swirling with red and green flames, along with the whites of his eyes, while his emerald irises glowed in the shadows of the cave. Just from seeing him, I could tell he had changed and had become much more powerful. Sam? Sam grinned at me, stepping up in front of me and placing a hand on my head. He did it! He got the powers!
Sup, you doofus?
Stop! I bit my lip and shook my head, pounding a fist into his chest before hugging him to me tightly.
Whoa. Hey, it's all right. I'm right here.
Thank God you are.
May your battle be won, Lord of Dragons.
Hell yeah, Lord of Dragons! I am going to marry the Lord of Dragons. This is another reason why I've grown to love Sam, because I love dragons. He's the Lord of Dragons? Hell yes. I looked over Sam's shoulder into the darkness, seeing the faint outline of a large dragon's head fade away from before my eyes. What the? Lord of Dragons? Hell yeah! Before Sam could answer me, a light burst into the air, causing us to grip onto each other and shut our eyes. The warmth of the light seemed to comfort and ease our travel to wherever the dragon was sending us. Regardless, I clung to Sam tightly, desperate not to let go of him. When we opened our eyes at last, we were in the war room in the middle of the space with the rebel leaders, the incubi, and their wives staring wide-eyed at us. Before anyone could move, however, Diana applauded us, making everyone turn their heads toward her in confusion.
Well done, you two.
Yeah!
Wait, you knew where they were all along?
Oh. Hi!
She told us they were gone. She didn't say she didn't know where.
Listen, that's rude.
At least they're safe now.
Yeah! James, however, took a step towards Sam, peering at him. Sam's eyes had returned to normal, but I bet that his aura was different now that he was Lord of Dragons, or whatever the dragon had called him.
At least you're safe now.
Yeah!
You were worried about him too, dude.
Aw, James was worried about his younger brother, Sam, despite them having brother troubles. That's okay, James.
Don't ruin it. He has a reputation.
That's exactly why he doesn't want to admit that he missed Sam and was worried. Eric knows what to do. Eric knows what to say.
He's much stronger than before now.
Hell yeah, he is. Sam gave James a smug look before holding out his hand.
Yeah, I'm alright now.
The two brothers shook hands, smiling at one another. I was happy to know that he was alright as well, giving him a squeeze. Diana, however, cleared her throat as the rebel leaders took off, catching everyone's attention.
Well, I hate to break up this little reunion, but we have a battle to fight tomorrow. We should rest.
Yes, you are right. You are correct. Everyone was in agreement, especially my aching body. The run in the forest was not a kind one. As everyone began to leave, however, Diana called out,
Sam, a moment please. Alone.
Oh dear Lord, what's gonna happen? I was worried about what Diana wanted to speak to Sam about alone, but I left the room with the rest of the group regardless. Diana seemed adamant. However, I remained at the door, listening in.
So, you got me alone. What do you want?
She's silent. This can't be good. I peeked into the room to see Diana faced away from Sam, who had his arms crossed and was waiting for her to speak.
Tomorrow is the day we head out to fight him. We've been fighting for 10 years, and it will finally end.
You're stalling. What is it?
Do you know how many lives have been lost because of this war?
Sam finally lowered his arms and glared at the back of Diana's head. I glared as well. Why was she bringing this up? From the tone of her voice, however, she seriously wanted an answer.
Hundreds? Thousands?
9.5 million lives.
That's a lot of lives. That's a lot of lives. My heart, you can hear it cracking right now. 'Cause guilt? Again? Help me? Sam's breath hitched in shock, as did mine. That many lives had been lost? Was this war truly as bloody as the rebel leaders described it to be? Diana turned her head and stared into Sam's shocked gaze.
I had to send off and watch almost 9.5 million soldiers marching to their deaths. This world lost that many lives and had to take their blood and ashes into its soil as the battles we fought ended. The Demon Lord, however, ravaged and slaughtered thousands of innocent lives in between, sending more people to their deaths just because they were in his way.
Wow.
Why are you telling me this?
All of those lives could have been spared.
Diana turned around and glared hard at Sam, and, to my surprise, Sam froze in place.
Every single life that was lost during this war could have lived, could have been leading normal lives.
No, don't be speechless, Sam. Don't be speechless. Don't give in. Don't give in to the guilt. Do not give in to the guilt. And he's giving in to the guilt. Sam didn't open his mouth. Why wasn't he saying anything? I felt the need to step in, but I was stopped by a hand over my mouth. Who the fuck grabbed me? Shh. Oh, hi, Damien. I'm gonna be quiet now. Okay. I looked up to see Damien covering my mouth and staring into the room intently. I didn't understand. Why was he hushing me? I looked back into the room as Diana began to step towards Sam.
My kingdom became the target of the Demon Lord's wrath, and I came back to the castle and my people screaming to the sky and burning in the flames. My family was taken away from me, and there is nothing I can do to bring them back.
Don't give in to the guilt! Diana, don't do this to me, to him, to us. Don't do it. As Diana finally got close to Sam, leaning nose to nose with him, her eyes began to glow a cruel, cold golden color, making me worry.
And it's all because of you, your brothers, and that human.
Stop! No, it's not! Nope. 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 Please stop doing what the angel did. Please, do not ensure the guilt on us. Do not. This was not nowhere near their fault. It was the Demon Lord's fault. He was the one who broke the contract in the first place. That is why your people are dead. Do not do this. Please. Please, Diana.
What?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Like lightning, Diana and Sam slammed into the far wall. However, instead of Diana against the wall, Sam was held against it with Diana's hand over his mouth. What surprised me the most was Sam staring at Diana with an almost a shocked with almost a shocked and fearful expression. What the hell? Sam gripped Diana's arm, but for some reason, she didn't seem to be affected by his strength, like he was gripping stone. Where did her strength come from?
I want to get it through your head that this war is your fault. Yours and that human's faults. My parents, my sister, their lives were ripped away from this world because of you two. My kingdom burned, drowned in the flames of the Demon Lord because of you two.
No! Stop!
Your brothers were too enthralled with the human world to give a damn about where they came from, so I could have never convinced them to come back. You were my only hope, and you decided that the human was more important than the peace of this world. Because of your love for her, you stayed in the human world and caused so much death.
Ah, now I see. I understand. James didn't want to become the demon prince because of his training and all of that he had to do. Eric didn't want to be the flirtatious flirt anymore, being under the guidance of his mother. As much as he loves his mother, he didn't want to be that kind of person where he flirts. Matthew found out so many interesting things about the human world that he wanted to go and experience them for himself. And Damien, after everything that had happened with his mother committing suicide and everything, he just wanted to get away with it. And he heard about the human world from our grandfather being all nice and sweet and stuff. So he wanted to go there himself and experience it without having any trouble, any doubts. He could do whatever he wanted, not like in the demon world. And Sam, when we went through the Sam route, we heard that he only went because of his brothers. He didn't want to leave. And you all could see that when we were shown the past in the first game with the incubi in the castle when they were about to leave. Sam was like, why do you guys want to go? There's nothing there. Humans are just weird people, whatever he said. I forgot. That's why Diana had his hope, because he was still connected to the demon world. He didn't want to go to the human world, but he only went because of his brothers. Now I see. Now I see why she chose him. Now I see why he's the canon route. Kind of. Sort of. Yeah? Okay. Moving on. Might as well keep watching.
I want to burn that anger into your soul. Every single life that has been lost in this war to stop the Demon Lord was because of you and your love.
Diana's hand slowly moved from Sam's mouth to his collar and gripped it, pulling him up onto his toes. However, as they continued to stare at each other, Sam's eyes began to glow a bright red and gold color, the mixture swirling in his green irises.
This war wasn't.
Yes, it was!
No, it wasn't. Diana quickly pulled Sam forward and slammed him back into the wall, causing him to jerk and wince, growling but continuing to stare at Diana's angry expression. Around Diana's body was a dark purple aura, flickering like a wildfire with her screams.
If I had just killed that human and dragged you back, the world would not be suffering as it is. If that human wasn't alive, then the Demon Lord would not have done what he did.
Wow, Diana, wow. I'm right here, and I am personally heartbroken. Thank you for breaking my heart. I love you. Now I'm just hating you right now.
If you and your brothers had just stayed, this war would not have happened!
No. Please, no.
We're gonna end it!
We will! And when this war is over, I will never have to see you or that damn human ever again!
Oh. I stared wide-eyed as Diana lowered her head down and slightly loosened her grip on Sam's collar. Her back was arched over, twitching and spasming as Diana gritted her teeth.
That is why you two must survive.
Huh?
What?
Diana's voice weakened immensely, drenched in soft, choked sobs and whimpers.
You two need to survive this war. You need to protect her and stay alive no matter what.
My heart dropped, but my mind was lost. Where was this coming from? I felt Damien loosen his grip over my mouth slightly as I watched Sam straighten up to look down at Diana. The aura around Diana slowly began to die out with each word Diana choked out.
If either of you die, then this war will have happened for nothing. All of those lives, all of this destruction. The only reason we are here is because of you two.
The Demon Lord. Blah.
Diana.
Diana looked up to Sam, a new hopeless pain burning in her eyes as tears began to stream down her face.
Swear to me, Brute, that you will take responsibility for this and live, no matter what happens. Damn the war, damn my life. But you must swear that you understand and will take this responsibility.
The Demon Lord should be taking that responsibility to his grave, not Sam. No. My heart was hurting at the sight of Diana. She looked so broken, barely gripping to Sam and no longer forcing him against the wall behind him. Sam, however, pressed his lips together. What was he going to do? Sam, staring at Diana's expression, slowly grabbed onto both of Diana's horns and pulled Diana's head downward, pressing his forehead to the top of her head.
I swear.
For the first and only time in my life, I watched Diana crumple to the ground onto her knees, with Sam following her down. Diana's hands released Sam and covered her face before she started sobbing violently into her palms. Sam kept his hands on her horns, pressing his forehead into the top of her head with closed eyes. Red energy from Diana's body slowly began to slide along her form and into Sam's head, slowly wrapping around him and fading away. Hi, Damien. I stepped away from the door and looked to Damien, seeing him look down at the ground in shame. Damien.
It is our fault, but we can't change the past. We can only end this.
No, it's not your fault. It is not your fault. Please don't agree with this. I'm going to start crying. Do not. No. 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 I nodded, feeling the weight of the world rest on my soul. Too much guilt. This is going to make me cry right now. Oh my god. In a way, I felt completely responsible for this war even happening. I feel that way so much right now. You don't understand. I keep pushing it, but it always comes back. It's like eating me away, and it's like, this is our fault, isn't it? Not just the Demon Lord, but it is our fault. Jeez. I loved Sam enough to keep him away from his duty, his reason for birth. I had chained him to me, and I wouldn't let him go. A reference to Chain the Monster, yeah. I looked back to Diana, seeing her shaking and crying as Sam continued to remain still, holding her horns. The energy had vanished, and all that was left were the tears Diana was shedding. Did Sam take her energy?
Sam took away her rage.
Oh. Wait, what? I looked up at Damien, confused. He was an incubus, so he was only able to take away sexual energy, right? He could take other forms of energy too? Sam can do that?
Yes, actually. While he's an incubus, he's also part brute demon, just like the rest of us.
I was surprised. Sam was part brute demon? So were the boys? Damien chuckled softly, assumingly because he read my mind, and nodded. I could tell Sam was a brute demon, part brute demon, because he's nicknamed the Brute, of course. And he's buff and all that, kind of like the Demon Lord. And he has anger issues, like the Demon Lord. How could you not tell?
Our mothers were succubi. The Demon Lord, though, he's no incubus. He's a brute demon who feeds on and uses rage energy.
Okay. Damien looked into the room, losing part of his smile.
Sam, our brothers and I were born incubi, but Sam inherited more brute demon traits than the rest of us. Thus, why he had the nicknames Brute and Monster.
See? Yep, I was right all along. Because he wasn't like a regular incubus? Damien nodded. I looked to Sam, seeing him stare into Diana's scalp with a focused but intense expression. The more I thought about it, the more I could see what he meant.
Sam never got into the idea of taking and using sexual energy. He was angry all of the time in the demon world, so he fed on rage energy instead. It wasn't until he went to the human world with us when he began to rely on his incubus powers.
That would explain why he has anger issues. when he first came to the human world. That's funny. I could only imagine it. Sam, who hated his father and was the rebel son of the Incubi brothers, full of anger. That was probably why he was so forward when he had met and full of attitude. See? Still, I fell in love with him. He was truly a wonderful man. He did everything he could to make me happy and feel safe. He always put me first, which flattered me and made me feel incredibly special. I didn't know what to say to that. If Diana eventually stopped crying and wiped the tears from her face, but she didn't raise her head. Damien, whom I thought would have stayed longer, disappeared, leaving me alone to watch. Damien, don't leave me, precious! You precious being.
Sam, if I die, would you?
No, don't go with the ifs. Don't go with the ifs. Don't do that. Do not do that, please. Would he what? I stared, hoping that Diana would reply with a clearer question, but she merely closed her eyes and let out a small sigh. Suddenly, the noise in the room became silent, but I could see Diana's lips move. Oh, it's like one of those anime scenes where like they're mouthing something, you can't hear what they're saying, and then there's a shocked expression of another character like, what? And then later on in the anime series, you get to know what they said, and then you're like, what the hell? Something like that. As Sam's eyes widened, see? As she finished speaking, but he didn't say anything back, even as Diana looked up at Sam. When Sam finally reacted, he let out a silent sigh and spoke back, the sound of his voice negated through whatever silence engulfed the room. As my body began to collapse, I watched as Diana listened and nodded with a smile before fading into the ground through a dark pentagram. Sam, however, remained there, staring where Diana had been and took in whatever she had said. Upon the demand of my body, I began to make my way towards the bedroom, not wanting Sam to know that I had been eavesdropping. I began to make my way back to my room, but stopped as I heard the sound of whispered voices sneak out through a barely opened door.
So, we're all in agreement?
No!
We have to. We don't have any choice anymore.
No, well, after what happened, I'm kind of like in the middle, like,
It will be for the better, I'm sure.
Kind of agree with you, Sergeant, because, yeah. But at the same time, no.
Indeed.
Shadow, you have no say in this. Shut up. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm being mean to Shadow right now. I peeked into the room to see the interior of the library where the 4 rebel leaders stood in a circle. Sergeant leaned against the fireplace mantle while Rabbit and Shadow sat in 2 empty chairs. They, however, floated to and fro from side to side in anxiousness. What were they talking about? I was so engrossed in figuring out what was happening in the room that I didn't notice a figure coming up behind me and pushing me into the room. Gah!
Commander, a spy.
Denthulier, why? Why? Denthulier, you just broke my heart now. Okay.
Huh? Human?
Hi? Whew. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go leave now. Bye.
That succubus doesn't deserve the throne. Plain and simple.
I've seen the way she attacked you, Sergeant. I'm growing concerned about her, too. I looked at Sergeant, surprised at his words. As he looked at me, I could see a world of anger behind his eyes.
This world needs a real leader on the throne. Not some self-entitled princess who assumes everything is hers just because of her rank in society.
Oh. You really think that of her?
I do. The moment I swore my alliance to this rebellion, I watched her, and I don't like what I see. She's emotional and she has too much power. Nothing about her taking the throne is honorable.
Yeah, she does have too much power, to be honest, because of fighting the Demon Lord for a long time. Well, that's what happens. You slowly grow into madness with the Demon Lord. But that warrants death?
Don't you get it? If we tell her to step down, then the ones who follow her will force her right back in. She's too powerful to be left alive.
I see. I grimaced. Sergeant had his reasons, as obviously they were noble to him, but I didn't understand. Oh, jeez, this is gonna be hard. Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna believe in Diana because I don't got time for new things. I'm sorry. I stood up, brushed myself off, and looked around, hoping that no one saw me snoozing on the floor. When I noted that the coast was clear, I quickly continued on my way to my room. I must have been more tired than I thought. I finally reached my room and let my body fall onto the bed. I let out a sigh of utter pleasure as I felt the cloud-like metal cradle my body on its surface. I was beyond happy. I had been kidnapped and taken to the demon world by the demon lord, trapped here unless he or I died. Then Sam and I had been haunted by a powerful being that had been hell-bent on testing us. This entire week had been a wild roller coaster ride of excitement that I would have never expected. Still, there was joy to be found in adventure, and my curiosity thanked destiny for letting me experience it. Now all I wanted to do was to get home and marry the man I loved. As Sam finally entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him.
Hey, you ready to go home?
Hell yeah, I am. More than ready. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We let the situation we had just gone through sink in, relieved that we were going to be happy from now on, together. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to grow fearful. Was I ready to go into battle? Was Sam? Were any of us for that matter? We were about to walk into the final clash of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to remain with Sam and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. We're gonna do it, guys. We're gonna make love to Sam. So if you don't want to see it, feel free to... I'm giving you 3 seconds to skip. 3, 2, 1. You still with me? Alright. Making love to Sam. I needed to hold him and treat the night like it was our last. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. A wave of carnal need rushed through me, needing to indulge all I could tonight. It was stupid to believe that tomorrow could have been our last day alive, but reality scared me. I was scared and I needed to release that fear in Sam's arms. We needed to rock as if the world was ending because we didn't know if it would. I gripped onto Sam's jacket and pulled him close to me, slamming my lips into his and feeling him gasp against our kiss. He stared wide-eyed at me for a moment before gripping to my waist hard and returning my kiss. He was feeling the same. I could feel the tremors of his own concern rumble beneath his fingertips as they gently dragged themselves along my waist and buried themselves under my clothes. I pulled away slightly, panting as I burned my gaze into his eyes. Oh, Morris. His eyes flashed a gold color at the sound of his true name. I would use it and call it over and over to make him drive through the blissful night we desperately needed. His grip on me tightened as I leaned in nose to nose, repeating it in a husky tone. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. I'm really sorry. Oh, Maurice. A carnal snarl escaped Sam's lips before he roughly cupped a hand behind my head and pulled me into a hard kiss, growling lustfully against my lips as I groaned at the feeling. The gates of our control flung open and we let it all in. It almost became too easy tearing Sam's clothes off of his body. It was definitely easy for him to strip every last article off of my body and take in the sensation of our skin-to-skin contact. The heat dancing over our skins became almost unbearable as he marched me to bed and pinned me down, biting over my lip before planting nips over my neck and shoulder. I would bear the love bites and hickeys that he was painting over my skin with pride. All I cared about was feeling him within my arms and screaming his name as we finally passed the point of no return. His demon name spurred him once, skyrocketing the passion between us as I let it fall from my name between my euphoria cries of pleasure. His fingers clawed over my back as my own gripped his shoulders hard, returning the favor. My name fell from his own lips between his hard and loving kisses over my neck and shoulder. As he finally claimed my lips to silence us both, we became unhinged and soared through multiple peaks of ecstasy. I could barely remember how many we rushed through, but our emotions were running high, and the beautiful afterglow that awaited us gave us a soft descendant into a blissful haze in each other's arms. We were both hurting, aching from the amount of energy released in our love making, but thankful in the end that we did. We didn't even need to speak as we held each other close and let the night consume us. My heart was filled with Sam, and I became slowly protective of my love for him. If tomorrow was going to be a test against death, then it was a test I would succeed in. I would not let the Demon Lord or anyone take Sam away from me again. I love you, Amaris. Tomorrow would decide everything. And we're going to stop here for this episode. I think the next part will be the last part, I guess. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of my videos, then click subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!